So, bringing out all the characters here on the 3rd, Sunday the 3rd, and we're going to do some scenes. We're going to start filming. Yeah, start filming it. I'm going to make a change, though, from the script. Having the Soji and Daj person, who are only in the first of the 2 movies, be another 2 versions of Hertzman, but just as Data-looking people is confusing and weird. So I'm going to change that up, and I'm going to make them look more like these 2 very strange-looking Cadet Crusher and Troys instead, so that they stand out as being these weird sort of alternate take people instead of being our confusing number 1 cast, because otherwise it is weird and different. And the changes apply to the timeline characters introduced as well as who they represent. The story goes back and fixes the who they are. At the last minute, days ago, they decided, okay, well, it was a couple of days ago. Yeah, they changed the second story, but that's not relevant here. It was all pre-production at that point, and putting the story together. And so, yeah, there was some characters that were omitted because introducing them, would have been confusing. It's not that they were of any age or anything. It was just that it was confusing. So this, we're just trying to make this as fits up as possible. And there's that staircase. Now this is redone as the alien visiting room, coffee shop, space, brown set thing over here. This is another sort of waiting room area / bridge that can be engine room very quickly, or anything else you need. This is our enemy bridge set, or other ship set, or other room, or the battle bridge of the other ship. And this is a fully realized secondary room, meeting room / entry room, adjacent to the bridge for the first time ever, because we fixed the underside up there to make that fit. And here's the crew on the bridge. We get to see the middle-aged crew from the church group from the Exodus and the Fellowship have come aboard the Esteban and the Legacy to rescue the crew from 2025. That's kind of what's going on. And so they've come aboard this other ship. And we changed Shadow Dancer to Cal Hassel, which makes more sense. Why would Shadow Dancer care? He wouldn't. And so he's the one that pulls them in and then goes on to the Brady episode. So this one is the pilot. And I'm not going to go on too much about who they all are, but there's Captain Dewick in the middle. Captain Dewick. Ooh. And she's in 2 episodes. She's in these 2 movies. There's supposed to be 2. Just ordered up 2. That's it. Then she leaves, and assuming one of these others becomes the captain, she leaves. You'd figure these other guys would be actually like higher up than captain, and they wouldn't go there, except for we're breaking the 4th wall by having Cal Hazel, who's clearly a Mary Sue for Cal Cat. I'm just there. Sure, I'm here. Also on the actual set, this is from the former cast member and their family who came to the set, the Zorka. Not to this set, but the church group. That was fun. But that's not relevant here. But one of the players from the original game was on hand, not here, but at the church. So that's funny. Doesn't know about this. Didn't tell her. Oh, she'll probably see it online. Oh, there it is. Making of. Note that this character will not stand up. Will not stand up. She will not. Her one leg is smaller than the other for some reason. And we can't use this character. I guess we can kind of use this one. She would be the transporter data chick, I guess. So, yeah, Core and Soji. Yeah. Yeah, let's go back to using the one that was going to be Core as Core. Or this is Soji and the other one's Core. Because she kind of has to be in order for this to even work. Yeah. For her to stand up. Yeah. So, note making of. In the story, it doesn't matter because the teasers aren't before the credits in these anyway. But note that this next scene will be in the same room and not in the cafe yet. Not in the cafe. Just put them in this little room, Doc. Because it makes more sense. Also, Abby Woodworth and Aaron Gettings is the husband in the actual wedding, and that's on the 10th of this month. They're not the real people. These are the silly track version of Abby Woods. We don't have them in a cameo in here. These are not really them, obviously. It's inspired them, you see. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah. Okay, so making of, again. It seems that in the script, there was an earlier version of this where it wasn't Sarpedon's planet. Where it was a Cillian Earth planet that they were on. I think it isn't Sarpedon's planet. It's still because... Yeah, I don't know what the supernova line earlier was on about. It's merged with the other one. Maybe throw in that line in there just to clarify. All right. Making of, again, just a comment here. They mentioned a pocket universe. And I mentioned going crazy with giddiness reviewing the Superman movie. And that is because they used a pocket universe in that movie too. This script was done weeks ago, a month ago, almost a month ago. What was it on the front? It says, okay, not a month ago, a couple of weeks ago. But before the Superman movie came out, there was a version of the script because it took several weeks to write. So when the Superman movie came out, I was like, oh my gosh, they mentioned a pocket universe. Yeah. So they do here. So, yeah, making of. If this was the teaser, then that'd be the end of the teaser. No, right there. Yeah. And then we go on to Soji and Core on the ship. Even though in the story guide it says Dash, but it's Soji in the script. So it should be Soji because Dash is dead. She's the other android. So here we have Silly Trek revives things, but not in this case. So yeah, we have that. So. Yeah, we finished the scene here. Have these two meeting up with some of the characters. So this is making of, just a brief snippet. We're almost through a third of the first of the two movies. Almost to the third. We're going to stop for the day, since it was an all-day shoot. So yeah, the whole the coffee shop set / space set looks cool. Has the stairs. That's later. The stairs were pretty special in the shot, just in case you want to see that little Easter egg and go like, oh, that's going to be later. But it's it would be there too. So cool. But yeah, hopefully the thumbnail ends with that character on the stairway. I don't know, but yeah, this is so this is the second unit camera, which has been adjusted to recorded in the proper format, hopefully. So we'll see. Anyway, so yeah, it's good evening. That's it. So, making of into Act 2 here. This is the rebuilt wedding set from 3 years ago when we did that episode with the Fallen One's Planet. We found the space cake, which was just a weird, I guess, a canister for the space cake. It wasn't opened yet, and the props and the walls. Yeah. So Yeah, it actually wasn't that tall. Because you go down here, it's like that. And it is a slightly changed because the aliens just generated it. Planet. So yeah, let's do this scene here. And they show up in the weird realm and see this funky looking thing. Yeah. And it also the convention set because it's the other that piece there. So cool, yeah. Making of. Half the movie's finished. Yay! Oh my god. Wow. Okay. All right. Maybe we won't quite get to the next 30 minutes, but maybe we'll rock it along there. Yeah. Yeah, we're not in a bum rush to get to at least have this episode done before she actually gets married. Well, it's not really Woodworth. It's the character that's loosely based on her. It's not her. It's not Abby. It's not the other one either. They're fiction, silly versions, silly track. Yeah, they're in on it. Yeah, making of, I guess. On page 75, we are 19 pages from the end, and yeah, I guess this guy has to be Coddle and the others, but he's like an alien Coddle because he's Coddle. It's referencing the last episode just to have him be him. And it would be really awkward to throw in anyone else. So we're going to go with the script, not changing the script. But it is interesting that they're kind of like something else. Yeah, this was clearly written by a teenager, by the way. But yes, anyway, yeah. Well, not really. It was written by an adult copying what a teenager said as a story. It was, not for the Star Trek, but for something else. You just kind of cribbed it from their story. Yeah, they did not actually, have any part in writing this and aren't here. Just to clarify that. The pilot, the first of two movies of this summer. The end of the summer it has officially gone in the can. Excellent. Yes, now I have to put this in there. So this is Calicat the Calicaster. There's not much making of behind the scenes of this because we kind of discussed the other thing before. It is John Knight. You probably won't see his appearance, but it's John Knight. We finished up the story. We have just a little bit left of that. We can tack that making of onto this, making of the movie. But really, it's kind of just behind the scenes and putting things together. That really, this episode was modeled after not only the classic Star Trek episode, All Our Yesterdays, but also with the Sarpedon planet, Ataz and all that. It's a sequel to it. But it's also a sequel to the Diane Duane books, and it's referenced, the Yesterday's Sun is referenced in there, and the sequel. But yeah, so it's kind of referenced in there. But only at the end. Otherwise, it's just a weird space adventure thing on the movie. The other one is a crossover with the Brady Bunch and the making of Star Trek V. Just to be weird. Even though we only heard stories about the making of these things and the Elizabeth Shatner book and all that, making of Star Trek V. And of course that Will Wheaton Shatner controversy at the time when that movie was being made is in there. But toned down a little bit from the other version. And that's a different one. So, but yeah, this was we had two 90-minute segments to tell. And it's not a trilogy because it would be really, really weird if it was a trilogy. In fact, the way that the last one was done, which was kind of an apology about the other one, and trying to reset the timeline, this one goes even more hard with let's apologize for the timeline reset. And try to fix that. Maybe we shouldn't jump into the future so far next time. That'd be good. But yeah, the Canary Space and Vanguards and that thing happened, of course, and the other one happened. But yeah, the painted itself into a corner, couldn't get out of it. It took months from April on to now to up till July to figure out how to get out of that. We're at 2413 in her party. She can get. Incidentally, the Cal Catster has not been invited to the actual wedding the person's based on in the story. So again, someone else has not been invited to a party. But that's okay because I don't know them that well. I mean, I know the parents, but it would be weird if they don't have a reception that isn't, in a day or two, in their wedding. If they don't have a reception, it would be awkward if I showed up. That would just be weird. Why would I show up other than the Godfather or something? That'd be silly. But yeah, the Q. So there's a little bit of that at the end there. The Q guy. Yeah, the two episodes that were blocked were basically this one and the next one. The first one had a lot more elements of that, what was left of that previous camp thing, and the other surprise thing, and whatever. Whereas the second one was more about a different person kind of putting it together. The two stories chronologically take place after the Dukes have already left, for instance. And so they're kind of like, oh, they're only in these two because she left. But she wants to be, so she's there. There would have been more of them from the camp cast, but we asked some of them, and they said no, so they were not included. They had some scenes that were already written. Changed them around so they were somebody else. They said, we don't want to be in that. We don't know what that is. Again, somebody going, we don't know what that is. Unsure about what this is. What is this? We don't want to commit to doing voice acting, more or less. But yeah, so anyway, so that's what happened there. So we're gonna watch this episode. Yeah, you're watching the making of this episode, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, for this one. Greetings, I am Cal Hazel, Cal Cat the Cal Catster. Welcome to the set of the next version of this movie. This is going to be a very special episode. Special as in short but special. That's right. We've decided to combine two iconic TV series. That of Star Trek, which in 1966 to 1969 was an iconic show that launched all of this other stuff. All fan shows afterward are loosely based on that. And, of course, another iconic TV show that began in 1969, ran to 75, The Brady Bunch, was as equally iconic. So, we're proud to present the most bizarre crossover story ever attempted. Literally, where none dared go before. I'm Emoji, one of the youngest writers on the writing team of this show. Yeah, so, hope you enjoy the Brady Bunch episode. I don't know much about it, really, but I'm assuming the elder ones do. Anyway, all this is an intro. Hopefully this will play before the Brady episode actually airs, because it's kind of cool. We get to do our little reunion thing, because they ended up not doing one in 2024. They rebuilt the house, but they ended up not doing one. And I am Kimchi, playing Vodduik. Obviously, Vodduik is in Canada, but I am playing her to the best of my abilities. Hope you're enjoying this particular story and this character that we've introduced in these 2 motion pictures. The Brady Bunch special. There's no exception. I remember the show fondly from when I was young. I'm sure a lot of the other guys do too. It's really cool to get to do a crossover with the Star Trek people. Enjoy. Another party, just for fun. And I, of Fred Sizebass, I have returned so that I may play an iconic character universe. I get to play Carol. We are part of the Kirk Spock, the Kirk Loves Spock troop. Made up just for this story. Oh my. Yes. Yes. And I get to play the iconic Greg. Yes. Here as this guy. I'm playing this guy. I am his husband, wife. Yeah, I get that werewolf fuzzy face. In case you didn't know. Yeah, so I get to play Greg, and he's Carol. I get to play the Bradys. They weren't actually dudes back then, but the irony is with this particular character that secretly, the character who plays this guy was actually in the closet. He was. Anyway, so yeah, so my character is clearly not. He's quite out. Yes. Then I played the bad guy in the other story. Hey, I'm okay with that. Just as long as it doesn't bother me none. I'm okay with it. Just as it doesn't bother me none, you know. I'm Scott Boys. I have 3 kids and a wife. My wife doesn't want to be in this show, but one of the kids is. Anyway, so yeah. I'm not really him though. I'm really playing him. I'm actually another character from the show. Yeah. Yeah, who's playing Scott? It's gonna play Cowpoke probably. Hey, it's probably Tom Brooks. Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually Clint Cowpoke playing this guy. In case you didn't know. Clint Cowpoke playing Scott Boys. That's kind of weird. Okay. Sure. Why not? Anyway, enjoy the Brady Bunch special. I enjoyed that show when I was growing up. I was confused when we all finally met the actors from the show, and they were quite a bit older than we remembered them because they was all, we were actually 10 years younger than all them, or more. And when we actually met them in real life, they were, at conventions, they were quite a bit older than us at that point. Anyway, that's the way it goes. This is just special. It's just having fun. Not even meant as a teaser, just like a little hand-me-down. Oh, look at this, look at this. Yeah. Making of the next episode. Enjoy that special. Where we boldly go, where none dared go before. Brady Bunch crossing over with the Star Trek. That is really bizarre. And groovy. Yeah, real groovy. Yeah, so we'll see you there. Next episode coming up. We'll see you there. Yep. Live long and prosper. This is Calicat the Calicatster, having returned from a respite event, I think at the church, where there wasn't any discussion as to the fan films, obviously, nor were the other inspirational people there. It was completely different. But it is the day before the wedding of the character that kind of inspired some of the scenes in Starship Legacy over the years. Her wedding is tomorrow. The character of Abby Woods, the real one, with the different last name, And the Calicatster is not invited to that. Does that mean that, like, okay, he's not invited to a party? Is he going to do the Amanda Rumsey thing and Amanda Rumley party thing and ruin the second act and all that? No. Honestly, a lot of the cast weren't invited to that. Even though the goddaughter person in the story is like that, she's really in another state, another part of the state, really, and they're doing this other thing up here, but it's all a private thing. They're not doing the whole church. It's not like the last couple from the Next Generation where last weddings where they had everybody there. And no, we're completely okay with that because it's like, that's all right. It is addressed in the story. The story was written like after that, but there's some back and forth that's ad-libbed in the Brady Bunch episode. So about it, because I wrote the two scripts based on the other inspirations during the first and second camp, mainly the first one, to do these two stories and sort of retcon and reinvent the other ones, and include some people who were on their way out, who were leaving at the Dewicks, and some other ones. And I wanted to use elements of that in there because in the story, because the I don't know if that makes sense, but okay, so I'll make this very succinct then. Some of the people from the church that I knew of were leaving, and they also were involved in the early production indirectly and inspired characters in the story indirectly, but were not revealed until after they left that they were, and wanted to be characters on the show, but they already kind of were. The character in this two-part story, Vod Duick, basically being as a Kimchi action figure that's been repainted. It's a Dax, been repainted as Vod Duick, because she's the inspiration for that person that inspired her. The person that left is the one that inspired the Ezra Dax character too as well. So it's the same person. Well, as far back as the 2019 movie, that far back, was inspired. Oh, this kind of acts like her. It should be her playing her. It wasn't official, but it was sort of unofficial. She was probably the inspiration for that, because it wasn't Mrs. D. It was Mrs. Duick, the other Mrs. D. Anyway, yeah. But I had permission to make a character, and put a character in there, and just as long as the kids were not involved, because that would be weird. And Stu, the husband, was not interested. So that happens a lot on the set. The Next Generation people. It's not that they are averse to being in a Star Trek fan film. They're averse to being in a shipping fan film, where they are suddenly people in the shipping story. Yeah, that is a little weird. But that isn't really what was going on. So they needn't worry about that. So this other, the inspirations for Tam and Kestra were flipped in terms of the two characters that inspired them. The Abby Woods character, we'll call her that, Abby Woods, was actually the opposite one. She was actually Kestra. And the other one was, Tam was Emoji. The other, we'll call her Emoji. And, but then the actual people want to be in it. So they showed up as themselves and kind of threw off the rest of the Legacy season, last season. There were 10 episodes. Up until that point, there were 10 episodes, the 10th one of which sort of retcons the whole thing. And so yeah, the idea that they're directly doing what they're doing doesn't make sense if they're actually on the writing staff. But they're not. There's no writing staff, as I said in the commentary thing. It's just me taking the ideas they gave me and making a story out of those ideas. They were not involved in actually pitching the story, although some of the dialogue is clearly stuff that some of them mentioned, and that's hinted at in the Brady Bunch one, especially the upcoming one, Sunshine Day, which takes place over a day. That one. But yeah, so the other one's about 2 or 3 days, but Sunshine Day is a day, 24 hours, 24 whole hours. And they're both kind of similar. They're both a weird holodeck story on a ship, and they're both the space fantasies messing with them. They're on the ship, and in the first one, it's more like the A to Z people have the crew, and they're kind of malevolent. They're kind of mean. They're messing with them a little bit, and the Loom are coming to eat their universe, and that's in there, and they're messing with it. Actually, you could imply from the end of the story when Atos shows up in that story that the Loom weren't actually eating them, because then they show up later. So it's all that the Atos guy was, that the alien computer was conjuring the Loom and their other timelines and stuff, implying that this group of Voyagers was actually copies of the other groups from the series that were left behind in the Fallen Ones, Planet of the Fallen Ones story. Kind of like that Riker episode of Second Chances. They were beamed away and then beamed back, and Riker was left on the planet. There were 2 Rikers, and they did that with the other guy as well. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, the Boimler. Well, I won't go into the weird Mariner stuff. I could go into it a little bit. I already did in the other thing, the little announcement about the alleged other Star Trek that isn't going to happen. I don't want to go into the details on that because it's already in that other thing. Yeah, a bunch of rumors about another Star Trek. Just to say, Mariner, if she's following the age of the actress, Tawny Newsome, the actress, who is just about 42 right now. She would have been way too young to have known Wesley Crusher and Sito Jaxa during the Academy. She would have been way too young. I know the story takes place 20 years ago, but the actor is playing someone that age then. So if you do the math, it doesn't add up. She would be like 14, roughly. She would not have known. She wouldn't be at the Academy. But anyway, that was. So that means that all that Nick Locarno stuff from Lower Decks season finale of season 4 didn't happen, because clearly she made it up. She had to have somehow dreamt it up, because Nick Locarno makes a planet dedicated to Nick Locarno. It's a fanfic. It's a Tawny Newsome fanfic. Not to mention all of season 5, which is also a fanfic. Anyway, so that was it on that one. So yeah, there's no wedding episode. There were some scenes in the Brady Bunch episode. It's kind of that weird idea. Where they address, because that's what this is about. This is the making of that one, right? They're addressing some of the dialogue in there. We have the Abby Woods character, not the other one. The character, not the person she's loosely based on. The characters got married between these 2 stories. And in the previous story, it says that it's in that timeline. It's 2025-8, so it's several centuries earlier in that other story. And when they come into the Brady Bunch episode, it's 2025 August, right? It's now, and it's just before the wedding. And when the other story starts up, it's just after the wedding. And some people were invited, some people weren't. And the characters in the story reference the wedding of this one character, Abby Woods. It's referenced, and Holy Cat or Kitty Cat shows up, and he is Hal Hazel literally is in both stories, more so in the Brady Bunch one. And he shows up, and he wasn't invited to the wedding. So the joke is that he's all like, well, I'm going to have a celebration with all of you, whether you want to or not. He's going to take them away to the holodeck. However, they're in Melkoshian space, and the Melkoshians grab them before he can do it. So they all end up on the Melkoshian planet. And also there's a fun crossover thing in there, back to the original 2019 story. Mark's Cards is one of the producers in the story. He gets to play one of the producers. And, well, it isn't really him, it's Calcat playing him. But on this Thursday, a couple days ago, we decided what his character should sound like. And he should have sort of a foghorn leghorn accent. That'd be funny. Just to have, he has this weird sort of, I'll say, Colonel Sanders' foghorn leghorn accent. That'd be kind of funny. He's not quite he's not kind of Clint Cowpoke. He's more like, yeah, Colonel Sanders, foghorn leghorn. It's funny. It's probably Cowpoke playing him, though. That's probably what it is. Because he can do the voice. But yeah, I would imagine it's him, yeah. So we also have some other, the two guys that were going to be Cartas. They're Dogbot. There's 2 Dogbots, 2 Catbots. We ended up repainting some of the zombie trooper figures as them instead. We decided that it made more sense for them not to have it be Carta. But they can still be the protoforms that meet the Carta guys later in Carta 2, which we have not written yet. We have dolled up the figures, and fixed up their faces a little bit. Some of them were derpy. And included the Catbots and the Dogbots and added them to the story. So now there are 34 of them. There's no new story yet, so don't worry about it. But the cat and Dogbots in this story aren't really them. They're their humanoid counterparts. They show up. Yeah, Fluffy and Tiger and the 2 others. And they're supposed to be Brady characters anyway. Also, the other Brady characters show up, and also the next scene we're going to do, because it's this Saturday, and usually there's no filming really on a Saturday. Usually there isn't. We are 20 minutes into the Brady Bunch one. Finished the other one, 20 minutes into the Brady Bunch one. Filming them back to back. Going to put all the pieces together for both, and then put them together, make 2 movies, and then go to Disneyland at the beginning of September. Hopefully these 2 stories will be out before Disneyland in September. And we're figuring out how that's going to happen, and what kind of pictures and videos we're going to do, how we're going to do that. We got the laptop, we got the extra jump drive with nothing on it, brand new, and only have some of our film in there, and little portable drive. Put all the stuff on there. It'll be more than enough room. And so and we'll put that together during the park thing. Each night we'll go home and go, okay, dump all the pictures, all the video onto the hard drive. It'll be saved on the hard drive. We'll have copies of them, and they can go from there. I'll be right there, and go from there. So, but this thing's not on there. This is So they put the wedding joke in there. There's also a couple of other funny lines in there where the Abby Woods character acknowledges that at one point her younger sister inspired like 3 whole scenes in the Brady Bunch episode. She did. But she's too young to be in the story. She's too young. But she did inspire them, the young person. Avery inspired them. And so we know that it's Woodworth. Yeah. Now we know who those 2 people really are. But yes, and so the character of Woods goes, did my little sister write this part? I bet she did. Just make fun of me. Then they don't answer her either time. So there's this running gag. She's like, oh, let's write this part. And then Henderson, the guy, comments at one point, "Gosh, it's like this thing is written by teenagers." You would know Henderson. That kind of thing. Fun stuff. It's like, okay, they weren't really, but they were just kind of inspired by it. And there's the teen spirit of those stories. So how does that match up with the other universe where we're kind of gone back? It's kind of retconning right after Planet of the Fallen Ones, which was technically 2 years ago. How does this tie into that? It's just a different timeline. No, it's a different timeline. These characters were at the academy when they should be, these characters line up because after the events of Picard final season, these line up. And the other ones don't, but that's a different season. They could theoretically meet the people from the other timeline, which would be funny. And maybe that is the incident of 2404 they mentioned. Maybe it's not even that shocking. It's just like, oh, they meet their other counterparts. In a third one that we're not no plan to do. Don't plan to do that. But if there was a third one, it would be like, oh, okay, they meet their counterparts, hang out, which is kind of like what they're already doing. So this other scene that's coming up is a scene where we start to be introduced to the trooper people, that's LGBTQ troop that's playing the Brady Bunch. They're playing the 80s Brady Bunch people because they wanted to age them up, like we did with the cadets. They basically said, okay, they're not the cadets that are under 18, like the Mariner thing. It ties into the Mariner thing. They're not young. They're over 18. So the youngest Brady would have to be over 18. So the story's clearly set in the 80s. It's clearly set a dozen years after the show, the 80s. Okay, fine. So they're older people playing them. And they're LARPing. They're live action role playing with them. I remember being introduced to the word LARPing, live action role play, back in the day from the stories, around 2012 or so. I mentioned it. That's kind of what I'm already doing. It's kind of what I'm already doing. Yeah. It's like, yeah. We go to the conventions. It's kind of what we're doing. Live action role play. Yeah. So that's what it's called. It has a name. Costuming and walking about and playing a character is LARPing. Okay. Kind of sounds dirty, but it's not. And so you have, just costume. So this scene is going to come out. We're talking about scenes, behind the scenes, it's making of, where we just have the Greg Brady actor and the Carol Brady actor talking at the end of the first of 3 acts, because you have a 90-minute movie. So you separate a typical 90-minute Star Trek story, if it's a 2-parter, into 2 45-minute segments. But in this case, what we do is we separate it into, well, the 45 minutes is there, right in the middle of the middle act, the second act. But really, it's 3-act play. So you have 30 minutes here, 30 minutes here, 30 minutes here. So we just did 21 minutes of it, getting up to that part, that scene with the Brady's. And we're like, you know what we should do? It shouldn't just be the 2 of them. It should be all of them. So why not introduce them? Because then some of them walk away and we don't see them again. So let's have all of them talking to Carol Brady. The actors come in toward the end of the first act, and we see all of them say at least one line in that scene. That's all I'm suggesting here. Again, do that just introduce all of them. Say, okay, these are the 80s Brady Bunch during supposedly around the same time as the Silly Trek was founded, around 1988. No, a little afterward. Well, not the Silly Trek, but the Silly Trek Starship, as we know it, the first contact, April, either February of '88 or April of '88, depending on what it is. When it became known, basically. February of '88 was when it became known, but it was actually Silly Trek before that, 2 years earlier. So that would count for the weird episodes with Teddy Ruxpin and the Borg and all that. Was 87 and 86, 87, before Next Generation introduced the Borg in 88. You have, so we did it first. So it all lines up with that, strangely enough. So it's sort of pseudo 88, but it's the Malkotians this time, and they're messing with Cal Hazel crew. And with this crew, so apparently the Brady people are actually, spoilers, they're actually the crew of the Starship Sepulveda, which is named after the explorer Sepulveda, which the LA Street Sepulveda is named after. Built a ship, the Sepulveda ship, not as a Cali class, but as a sort of a freighter type of cargo hauler explorer ship, sort of a civilian starship. With sort of half inlined engines, similar kind of in design to the Legacy, and that crew was just been turned into LARPers for the Wakashan's amusement on this spaceship they found. They have the Elgin, this spaceship. It's a giant arc ship, one of the arc ships from the other timeline, from a third timeline where World War III ended with ancient Calcatan marked cards, putting everyone that could survive the war on simulation arc ships with holodecks, sending them off of the Earth to go settle other Earth-like planets and create Star Trek. We saved Star Trek forever, and and the Andover is one of the ships set in the 80s, and this is another ship set in the 80s, the Brady Bunch ship. So, the Elgin. Also named after Elgin, the town where the late Judy Leesky, the cousin, is from. So that's in there too. Little reference there. Recently saw a fan film where they were referencing the animated Star Trek and referenced DC Fontana in there. That was nice. Another late Star Trek classic character. Yeah. Yeah, we did that too. We have a Starship Fontana that showed up a few times. Rumbly is commander of the Fontana, according to them. Which she thinks is funny. When's the Fontana going to show up again? I don't know. Come up with an idea. Commander of the Fontana. And all of the stuff is even addressed in the story. We have a Scott Boys and a Jessica Woods, the mother, in there. We have the other ones, and they address the other characters from the church group who haven't been in it yet. They haven't been in the Silly Track yet. They show up. We had an early versions of them in other episodes where it was supposedly the distant future, but it wasn't. Yeah, and they look different. And this one, they're more accurate. Just say, yeah, it's just a multiverse. It's a multiverse. They do what they do. They do what they do. They have promotion. They're in it, and they even address that. That several times they tell the Cal Hazel character, this is kind of weird that you have you're in here and kids are in here, but they're adults, and and nothing happens to them, but they're adults. But yeah, and you're basically doing shipping stories of the character cast from the yeah. And the pseudo Godfather stuff. That's okay. Yeah. But nothing more so. It was a little weird when one of them had the robot. They rebuilt the robot, but actually they revealed a twist. What's a twist? They find Tej broken because he's been combined with the Holocat guy. He's back to being the Holocat guy. In the Brady Bunch one, to the end of the last one, they revealed that he was Tej and he was also Holocat. So he was actually with the emoji character. Oh wait, no, he's actually with the Kestra, and then he was with and he reveals that he was both of them. Ooh, which doesn't mean anything other than the characters were with each other. Yeah, it's kind of funny. But yeah, the real Cal Hazel character, he was not with them. No, it was a joke. It's a joke. They're plastic. Anyway, so yeah, it's funny. Nothing else. Yeah. So yeah, these stories are contemporary with August 2025 or early in 2403, early January 2403. They both are in January 2403 or not. Well, it is kind of confusing because the other one's dated 8/25 August of. Well, they say the other one's a month later, but I'm gathering that what they mean is the Brady Bunch one is actually early September, technically, because the TNG era from then on, the 18 years that was TNG, Voyager, Deep Space Nine. Each season began in September, early September, sometimes late August, sometimes October, but usually September. And there was usually like a hiatus between late May, early June, and September. They didn't count that part. The star dates would jump up. So yeah, it works. The other story is the first story is the summer special, taking place during the summer, which they usually do with the comic books, and then we start into the season with the Brady Bunch one. The Brady Bunch one being the continuation of that. So it works. But they're both pilot episodes for this season. I just liked the two ideas together and said, let's do two of them. Yeah, they're significantly different enough. They could have been combined. Let's do two of them. Summer special. And yeah, the other story could be early September 2025 for the next one. It still works. The aliens were messing with it. Oh, last month when this happened. Literally be like, last month when this happened, that one line could literally be, maybe it was a week ago. Maybe last month was literally, say, 7 days ago. In which case it was last month, technically. Now it's August. When you see this, it might be later. It probably will still be August. There's not much behind the scenes on the Radio Bunch one, except for this one story about a third of the way through the movie. I wanted to mention that some character changes there, and that's pretty much it. Everyone's on board that's on board. The Badu character is new, but she is actually fully on with permission from the lady that moved to Canada, their family. And she wasn't directly the inspiration for Ezra Locarno, just somebody like that was. None of the voices, again, from the other story, are those people that they're sort of shipping versions of. None of them are really them, obviously. Mark's cards kind of pointed something similar to that out during Thursday. None of the fantasy characters in your stories are literally people you know. They're just kind of versions of them. They're not really them, obviously. So don't worry about it. If you happen to see this and go like, wait a minute, that character sounds a little like me, I don't know about that. And those other ones could still be it. There were two that were averse to being in it at all, but they didn't even know what it was about. So maybe they'll come back around and be like, oh, what was it? What was it going to be? Oh, I just didn't. Well, one of them kind of came back around and said, well, I just didn't have any time to do any voice acting in your little fan thing. So that's why. I don't know. So and then so I'm not gonna do any voice acting. So, that's okay. We weren't really gonna have a voice actor anyway. That's all. Making of. It would be. Again, I think it's like adding to the drama. There's no drama. I don't know what's going on. Other people in the main cast did not mention the actual person's wedding either, which is horrible. So if they didn't mention that they were going, these are like main character, right? They didn't mention they were going. So if they weren't invited either, then wow, okay, well, none of us are invited. I guess there's also a church picnic tomorrow, but I'm not going to that. I'm going to be recording the movie films instead. So I've done enough of that today, for today, I think. And tomorrow, early during the day, for that. Yeah, I'm not sure if there will be a third movie in this thing. It's not really a trilogy thing. It's more like, we're going to have this fun summer special two-parter with the Duick who moved, and the other girl who moved. They will be leaving, and they'll be probably replaced by some other character that will come back and although Mark's cards also reiterated commented, well, why would they necessarily, you introduce them, why would they They're plastic action figures. They're not really the other people. If the character works in a story, use it. The character's interesting and charismatic, then have it show up again. But that, yeah, it's like, where, yeah, if you like that, yeah, we like changed most of the zombie people around, and he thought it was hilarious. He was on the set of the other that we changed the Connell character. Of course, it was an alien disguised as Connell, and he gets eaten by a Cthulhu-like loom creature that erases him from existence. I thought that was funny. It's like, yes, if only that would happen to the guy he was imitating, the bad guy that he's imitating. There's a bad guy he's imitating. Nobody I know, nobody we know. Just a bad guy. It wasn't the no, it wasn't the Monday, August 11th, and we are going to begin filming on a scene. We've altered the scene coming up after this extended scene so that more of the Brady cast show up, because otherwise they're not really in the story. So having more than just two of them show up, the Sebulveda crew that's in LARPing as them, LARPing, live action role playing. Then we have it introduces them so that they're in the room, so we know they're there. It's basically, it would be a plot hole otherwise, so we fixed it. So they all show up. All right, so let's do this. There's very little making of on either of these movies, but there will be two short making of specials. Yeah, so yeah. And the actual wedding that the character is based on actually happened. This character is loosely based on. Her name only really actually happened, and yes, I was not invited to the actual person's wedding. So, yesterday at 8 in the morning. But yeah, so that's canon with this episode. That's weird and eerie. Yes. But yes, anyway, so here we have this other scene. So making of here on the 12th. It's a set soundstage, right? So we have them going behind the soundstage and stuff like that, and seeing that things are reappearing. What I wanted to do here is convey a scene transition, which should totally happen here when she picks up the phone. So it's like a weird Twin Peaksy studio head kind of thing going on, because they would totally do that in the 80s. So yeah, so when she picks up the phone from the other scene, we left the other scene. Then we transition to the right after Tam said the thing about the egg. Yeah, and then there should have been a transition. So the transition is they switch from the angle, switching the scene, even though it doesn't quite match the kitchen. We're seeing it from an angle you would never see, breaking the fourth wall literally into the other side of the set, in which the audience would actually be sitting, watching the show, which is hilarious. So we're screwing around like they did in the '96 Brady Bunch movie reboot. Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm doing. But it doesn't matter because you're going to see them up close anyway. You're not going to see the whole room, pieces of it. So yeah, you don't see the whole kitchen because we didn't build the whole kitchen. Pieces of it. Anyway, so let's do this. This is the beginning of part 2 of the whole. There's a 90-minute movie, so we finished 45 minutes of it. So this is the other 45 minutes. It's roughly 90-minute movie. So there we go. Halfway point. There's the shuttle. It's just the bridge. But yeah, we're going to go back to the planet and on the house and the alien ship. And we're going to see Wesley and Jean. And the reason that's in there, it isn't just to make the Kirk Wesley, the Wesley Will Wheaton story, which Will Wheaton wanted to put that in one of my Star Trek stories. I was going to do it. It's just I wasn't going to do it last year. I ended up doing it this year. Didn't fit anywhere else last year. And also I was really like, okay, yeah, I was going to do that shipping story. He's into those. and yeah, so he's into those too. Yeah, he would put that in there, but later, and also the yeah, but they're part of the story because it's not just a Brady Bunch meets Star Trek crossover LARPing thing with the LARPing crew. It is Star Trek meets the Brady Bunch. So Star Trek people from the 80s should be meeting the Brady Bunch. So Kirk and Picard meet up with the Brady's. As though this was one of those classic Silly Trek episodes back in the end of season 1. Not even season 2 yet. The end of season 1. Well, the beginning of season 2, I guess. During the hiatus of season 2. Just the beginning. And it's one of those rejected Star Trek stories from season 2, which was a little short and ended weird. And yeah, it was the beginning of season 2. So yeah, so we have Picard and Kirk and everybody. Yeah, not a lot of behind the scenes. Mainly just that, because this one is a smooth transition thing. There's not a lot of extra stuff to shoot. It's mostly they go down, they do things. That's what they do, and I don't want to waste a lot of tape. So yeah, so the Kirk and Picard thing is supposed to be there because to them it's 1988, and they go back and they meet up with this crew from 2025 and the Sepulveda, which they're searching for, but they didn't say how old the ship was in the earlier dialogue. They don't have to, because they explain that later. That it's been 20 years in the time warp, and this other generation ship arrived there at some point in the 135 years between this and Kirk's time, and for once we have an alien race that doesn't like the Federation. That's like, oh, I don't want to join the Federation, and doesn't want to really help them at all, but wants to get rid of them. So it's like, here, get those people off the ship. We don't know what happened to the Generation crew, and the bulk of the people have been living there. Doesn't matter how they were eating and sleeping and surviving. Maybe the holodeck generated food. I don't know. And they ate it. I don't know. But yeah, and this LARPing crew. It's also kind of a Brian Story story. A little bit of Brian Story elements in this. A little bit of that. But he wasn't directly involved in any way. Just a little bit of that in there. Yeah, so we just wrapped principal photography on Sunshine Day. That's it. Very twisted. I added a little end piece there. Yeah, there's not going to be a third one. This is the second and final one of the summer. We'll see what happens next, if something happens next. Don't know. Okay, this is Calicat, the Calicatster, on the set of the 2 making of vignette segments of the 2 films, and I decided to put a Star Trek films. I decided to put a coda on this, just to clarify things. There wasn't a lot of making of. There's about an hour of it. Most of it is just me talking about the other half, second half, but not actually showing a lot of making of the individual characters, stories, backgrounds, anything curious you might wonder about, any Q&A you might wonder about, that would normally come up in an after show thing, or in the editing process of putting the individual episodes together. I don't think we need to cover all of that in the background editing process, because this is not, I mean, this is a self-contained, like a mini-series. We've done 2 90-minute movies and stuck them together. We're going to pair them both together and have them both released together before going off to Disneyland in early September. We hope to have the raw footage of these 2 films by Thursday, at least raw version of them, and then that'll be during the middle of the month, and then we will see what happens from there as we put the pieces together. Once it's raw, we can put the pieces together. This is a newer version of Photoshop. It's Photoshop 2025, Element 2025, not Pro, it's the regular one, and it's kind of buggy, and we're beta testing it, and having beta tested it, it's worthy of we put the Carter movie together, so it shouldn't be. Mainly it's the title thing that's kind of screwy with it. It has like different versions of the title maker, and also the timeline screwy. But anyway, we don't need to go over that because this is not an essay on how Photoshop works, or doesn't in this case. So yeah, what is the behind the scenes Genesis stuff like that? Well, speaking of Genesis, yes, the reason we couldn't include a character called Genesis in a Star Trek fan film, we were going to include. We mentioned the name in the Carter one, but we changed it. Is because in Starfleet Academy, the movie series, there's a Genesis. We can't include. That would be very confusing. So change it. So it became somebody else. It became Fluffy. But yeah, there's one in there. There's a couple other oddities in there, but we won't go into that either because that would be a rant about some other show. It has nothing to do with us. Ours is, in a sense, the 2403 version of Starfleet Academy. Yes, it is. Theirs is in 3190 or so, 3191, somewhere around there, 92, somewhere around there. Yeah, so we're it's quite a bit later. But yeah, and that Star Trek United thing has gone viral, and it's not anything. It's just something from months ago that Bakula and Sussman were talking about, and I already went over that in a little bit of a tirade, or rant earlier. And so here we are on set, and this other thing is not a rant about not being invited to somebody's wedding. That's not what this is about. I wouldn't have been invited to that person. Come on. I mean, it's kind of a fun thing that the characters are like the next generation godchildren of the original C3 cast, the FPCM cast. But yeah, you're not always invited to their kid's wedding. Why would you be? I mean, come on. They've been, but yeah, it was early on, so on Sunday, so last Sunday, a couple days ago, and it happened to be during the making of this, and it's a coincidence. The silly Trek version of the character is not her; it's just similar. I even made a joke about, sort of a joke about Fantastic Four at the end concerning Space Baby. The real person, it does not have a space baby. Yeah, that's silly. Don't worry about it. As for, it's a joke. As for a third one, let's just put these two together and see what happens. I think these two as two movies together as a sort of a mini-series, a summer event, a celebration of 59 years of Star Trek. It's just fine the way it is. You don't need to overdo it and overcook it and say like, okay, well, we got to do a third one and have them be in a convention and they hang out, and you don't need to do that. You got to come out with a banger story for another one. This is the kind of the beginning of the third season, and it's not really concerned with the other seasons. Really, the jump to the distant future was really during the Mandy doesn't get invited to a party stories, which really the real Amanda is not all that bent out of shape about it all. It was us going on about it. Not really, no. Like that wedding story, she said the same thing of this other story. Well, why would I want to go to a kid party? I wouldn't want to do that. Or why would I want to go to someone else's Denny's meeting? Because I know one of them, or two of them there. No, I wouldn't want to do that. So yeah, so it's kind of the same idea. So everybody's still on board. Everybody's in on the joke. The Duick scenes are in the joke. Even the ending scene where they kind of suggest that he's flirting around with the Cal Hazel guy is flirting around with the Vaughn character. He's just screwing around. It's being silly. There's nothing. He didn't do anything to her, or vice versa. They're just messing around. They're being silly. So yeah, there's that too. Yeah, there was a lot of interesting interplay. Characters switched back and forth. It's a different universe. It's 2403, but a slightly alternate timeline, which is established in the Lost Generation and the one after that. The Cillians Assemble, in that they the two other future stories, the Cillian's Assemble kind of retcons Lost Generation, so it kind of like pulls it back and says, no, it's not really 2413. It's Q's been messing with it. That was in there in the finale. So kind of fix it here and dial it back and say like, oh, okay, those other timelines might have happened, and they might have done those other missions, and yeah, the other timeline happened, but these characters are kind of pulled back to a time when those things are yet to happen. Yeah, and by having a slight time jump for the gag for the post credits, which will be during the credits and not really post credits. It'll be just before the credits. Time jump into 6-7 months later as a joke. By doing that, you're basically saying, oh, okay, it actually, yeah, is closer to 2404 at the end of that story. Anyway, so yeah, no, we're not going to make the incident of 2404. We're not doing that. That was a gag as well. And it involved somebody like the Henderson character who we have this in joke going back to the Canary Space rewrite with it. The joke was that they do that shuttlecraft abandoned enemy mine thing, except it's a guy and a girl, and the guy like tries to convince her, a la Grease 2, which was a terrible movie, we should mate to repopulate the species. And in the skeezy version, apparently they do, and then they regret it afterward. That was the gag, and that was also the gag in the other one. We don't need to do that here. It's a little more PG in this one. And also we found a way to bring back the Chivius of Borg by having him be the messed up Picard in the story. Found him back to be the Wesley and Picard thing. Yeah, the thing that Will Wheaton thought of. I mentioned that convention, yeah, a year ago. Just finally in there. Found a place for it. So there are no there's no fluff. There's no extra scenes that shouldn't be there. The robot cat and dog people, they're cat and dog people, they're guys, humanoids, and the which were originally supposed to be Cardiff, but they changed it. It said that was too confusing and weird, so that didn't happen. Also, in the script, it says Daj is supposed to be Soji in the first one. So we have, and the LARPing crew is a completely made up fictional LGBTQ LARPing crew on the ship. Kirk loves Spock, reminiscent of KS. It's a gag. It's the throwback gag to the LARPing crew of Adrea Cobble story. That she was in. It's a gag. Yeah. I don't know if it works necessarily as that, but that's what we were paying homage to. Cal Hazel. Cal Hazel is all over it. The story. Mark's Cards appears as the producer. That was actually Mark's Cards' idea. When we started doing this, the second act of the Brady Bunch people, came to the epiphany in the story. Why don't we make the producer guy, who's this sort of foghorn leghorn fella. He's not quite Cloudpoke. He's sort of more like Johnny Bravo. Comes out there, the foghorn leghorn kind of guy. And why don't we have him be the producer? And there's another producer there too, but he's the main one. It should be Mark's Cards, obviously, because that'd be funny. But he's the Mark's Cards from Chimera 2006. So yeah, he's been there for 20 years. Or he just kind of looks like him. He's generated, an alternate generation one. The Paris and the other thing. Oh yeah, we also figured out that the actress Tawny Newson, who is going to be on the production team of Academy from Lower Decks, is about 8 years younger than me. And we figured out that I know her character on Lower Decks is supposed to be younger than the actress by like 10 years or something, or 15 years. So it lines up, but she never says. So yeah, she's not. So on lower decks, yeah. If you did the math from now, 2403, back to 2360s, she would be in her early tweens when the Academy story with Wesley happened. Early tweens. So it's unlikely that she ever met Wesley and Cedo at the Academy. She would have been a child, and they probably would not have hung out with her, which is a running gag in this story as well. There were some of the people inspiring these two scripts were in fact teenagers, inspired the stories. However, give them credit in the credits, but they were not here. They were not in the writing studio. They just did stories and did things, and nothing bad. Did stories at the camps that inspired some scenes from these stories. That's all that was. That's all I was trying to explain before that. Some of their actions inspired some stories. So yeah, their names would be in the credits. We introduced a new character called Matrix, based on a young adult. The one of the three that gave permission. Although the other one that doubts permission, there was another guy. He later said, "Well, now that I know what it is, I can be in the next one, I guess." So he's okay with that one. I'll be in the next one right now. Yeah, whatever that one is. But yeah, we haven't come up with the next one yet. But yeah, the others are, yeah, for obvious reasons wouldn't be. Ironically, when we were the Silly Track people in high school, as teenagers, we were young enough to be writing our own stuff, including. But anyway, so yeah, nothing bad there. It's all fun and games and jokes and stuff. I did throw in a scene where Cal Hazel does the worm as a plastic figure, in honor of the worm dance thing. I'll explain that though. Explain that. You see, there was a groovy Duix final going away party in August. I see a trophy. Yeah, that's the trophy I gave myself. Duix Party 2025. Best worm dance. Adam Brown. I gave myself a kitty trophy. Thanks. There you go. So, yeah. But yeah, that's all. A unique experience doing these two stories. I figured what would if we've already had a sort of a pseudo PL episode, a fictional adventures episode. Starship Locations is mostly fictional adventures anyway. We've had Canary Space episodes and a series, little 4-movie series. We've had a Vanguard's series, 3-movie series. We've had a number of these other ones. Where do you go from there? You've fought a giant Teddy Ruxpin. What do you do next? And we thought, what we're going to do next is we're gonna have this story. We're gonna have them basically back in 2403, and just to say basically to the audience, don't worry about it. We're back in 2403. We're gonna go on an adventure on this weird ship, the whole that planet thing, goofy stuff going on that's trapped us on the planet. The Loom are trying to eat that timeline though, destroy it. So the Loom presumably took it out of that timeline that they're in a pocket dimension in the first one. In the new one, they've come out of the Loom have freed them. The Q freed them, and in the second episode, they are with the going where none dared go before, a crossover with the Brady Bunch, with the LARPing crew. It isn't technically the Brady Bunch. What it is the ship, the Sepulveda, 25 years earlier, was pulled into the warp around the same time as Lower Decks. Basically, the ship was pulled into the warp. It's not a Cali class ship. It's an NAR. It's a non-Federation ship, LARP ship. It's pulled into the thing. There have been ships like this before. The stage prop. Some of the Young Swan ships were not Federation. They were actually an adversary of the Federation by 2007 or 23, 85 or so. Anyway, so yeah, the 83, 84. So yeah, they were they were extras. Yeah. But the so yeah, the LARPing ship, there's it's canon with the other stuff, and they find they crash landed on this one of the other vessels, the Elgin, named the town that Aunt Judy lived in, the late Aunt Judy. And I thought it'd be funny, not to be confused with other Aunt Judys. This is Aunt Judy Leesky. Don't confuse it with other ones. Don't need to look that up. Don't confuse it with the other ones. Um, and so yeah, there's and so the they go to the planet, and the first planet is a Sarpedon arc ship, which has escaped the destruction of Sarpedon Nebula. It's been floating around for hundreds of years, over 100 years. They find that. And this one, it's another ship that's been floating around for over 130 years. It's a Melkoshian. Melkoshians captured it. This ship called the Elgin. And in this one, it was attacked by nanite space spore things. Fortunately, not Regulon bloodworms that attacked the Gorn, but that is mentioned in there. But something else, something Borg-like, attacked the ship. And it's threatening the crew, but less threatening than in the other story when the Loom were trying to eat them. This one is more like, oh, there's a space virus thing. Space computer virus attacking the holodeck. That's not as bad. On the ship. So yeah, they spend a lot of time hanging out with the Bradys. Well, the faux Bradys from this crew that have been brainwashed by the entity on the ship into thinking they were young members of the crew. They were brainwashed, and they've been there for 25 years, so now they're adults, and they're the LARPing crew of this ship, and they find out at the end that they can escape because it still exists. The troop still exists in the 2403 somewhere. So anyway, I'm just kind of summarizing that story, but I thought to just, okay, where did I get that idea? I just thought it'd be fun, to do that. The characters had been painted over a number of times. There was a zombies and painted them over, and Mark's cards, and I agreed that it would be funny if it was a troop, and also that it would be funny if his character showed up and then tried to kiss Marcia because of course Marcia. Why said it was Marcia? So there's a little bit of that in there just for fun. But Marcia is really a Kirk alien who is actually a dude, so that's funny. So that's in there, even though it's very innocent. It's not homo. It's not a little homo, but that's fine. That's perfectly, But yeah, I mean, sure, why not? It's the future. Yeah, maybe he likes the LARPing person. Maybe they went on a date. But then I got a twist, and I said, no, it's Cindy who goes on it. Cindy. The Cindy character, Cindy Brady, gets pulled out of the warp thing by the Wessian, who has become a traveler. He's in the story. And he goes like, yes, I pulled you out of here because I want to date you as well. I said, what the hell is wrong with Wessian? We continue to humiliate Wilwyn. Wesley's his character, not Wilwyn. His character. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, there's also a couple of scenes where it's like this is written by a teenager. One of them's all like, this is written by my little sister. No, one of them says that several times. My little sister, you're trying to annoy me. And Picard is annoyed by children, so that would be the case. But no, it really wasn't. It's just it was inspired by this person's sister. Originally, she was going to be in it, but then we decided, since there were some of the main crew were from the C3 crew, the actual adults. So, okay, don't have the actual children show up in your fanfic. That just seems a little weird. Don't do that. Have them be the ones that are over 18. That's fine. As silly Trek characters. Yeah, okay, we won't do it. Or some of them were concerned that the other ones were in there, and no, not at all. Yeah, no, not at all. Anyway, so there was nothing untoward. It was fine. I would say both stories together, when you put them together, are going to be easily PG. There's nothing really at all. There's suggestive characters that say words and names sometimes, and slightly off words. It's not going to hurt anybody at all. Anyway, so yeah, I think they had yeah. Now, one time they call Kirk a jerk, which is funny. And then reference, oh, that's a Mark's Cards reference from way back in the 80s. But yes, but they idolize him. They like him. So. But yes, yeah. It's about that. The Brady Bunch one, the theme is never meet your idols. Yes, oh yeah, there's a reference in there. Oh yeah. Oh, because it turns out that there is some validity to, well, Shatner, I've met him 2 or 3 times. He is kind of annoying. Last year, I was the other president, I had all the little figures out and all that. Yeah. And he'd be there this year at GalaxyCon, but I'm not going this year to GalaxyCon in a week. I'm going to Disneyland in 2.5 weeks. So, yeah, I'm doing that instead. Going to go visit the House of Mouse instead. Yeah, because we're going to do that instead. We've been planning on that for like 2 years, so we're going to do that. Yeah, so don't meet your idols. There's a reference in this story to having met some of the cast of the Brady Bunch years ago. Specifically, the Cindy Brady character, Susan Olsen, who appeared in a 1990s sci-fi convention. And we went to it. Mark's Cards and I think both went to that, yeah. And we met her. And she was a little odd. She's even more odd, even more so now. Odd. And we were somewhat stunned, but not completely, that this character was quite a bit older than us by like 8 or 9 years or so. And we're like, oh wow, she's actually older than us. Not figuring the reruns were reruns from the 60s and 70s. So she'd have to be older by 1990, right? She'd have to be getting up there. And that new show was coming out. It's going to be really great. The new drama, Brady Bunch drama show. Turned out it sucked. Yeah. But yes, I referenced the Brady Bunch Christmas special in the Brown Video Productions. You can go back and watch that reference in the Christmas 1988 story and the 1991 as well, referencing that. Every time you walk up to the house in some of those early Christmas videos, the Brady Bunch theme is being hummed or something in the background. Because of course it is. We really liked that show. My late sister Yvonne liked the show so much. Her old house in Oregon had the same kind of Formica counters, and they were orange. Most of the house didn't look anything like it, but the Formica counters in the kitchen kind of did look like it. But yeah. But yeah, and there's a house down the street on Hofstadter that looks like the Brady Bunch house would look like if it actually was a 2-story. So there's that. But anyway, so this is our little fun thing, our fun stairway. That'll probably pop up in other stuff as other things. It's a nice prop. It's a nice little prop. They can physically walk on it. Anyway, so this is just a add-on, just to the making of. You don't need an after show. You don't need to explain what happened to the LARPing people afterward. That's not essential. Assuming they go back to Starfleet and give a report, even though they really wouldn't because they're not really Starfleet. But and we're assuming that Vod Duick moved on to command on that other ship, and the timeline reset itself as it was going to. And Ezra the Colonel returned to the ship, realizing that Tommy Newson's character of Beckett Mariner couldn't possibly have met Wesley and Cito and Locarno, and therefore that Planet Locarno story never happened. She must have dreamt the entire thing. She must have dreamt it because she could not have met them. She would have been between 10 and 13 years old. She could not have met them. Because Will Wheaton is a year younger than me. I was at the academy in 2370 during that story. I would have been 2365. I was 18, so yeah, I would have been like 23. She could have been maybe 15, but would they have let her in? I mean, to their group? I don't think so. So yeah, 23. Let's just say it's 2368. Let's say it's 2368 and 21. Wesley Crusher's 20. Cedar Jacks is 21. And Nick Locarno's 26. We're all hanging out. Along comes this 15-year-old. You gonna hang out with her? No. Not unless we're in the kids group or we're like leading the Academy Youth Band or something. Play. Which would happen in C3, but it certainly wouldn't happen in that story. So there's a little bit of that going on in the background. So yeah, can't include them in there. It might sound creepy, even though it's not creepy at all. We're not using. No, we're not employing anybody, let alone anybody youth. They're not in this. No, they're just. I saw some story ideas and used them. It's all in fun. Yeah. So yeah, there's nobody being employed at all. This is no profit. Anyway, so live long and prosper. Nah, we're assuming that she got left and Woods returned. We're assuming that if Woods, the character in the story, was pregnant after she got married, that she had a baby, and we just didn't get mentioned. Didn't mention it, and then we're assuming that we didn't need to know that information. They went on from there. Yeah, that's fine. That's a gag. Although the younger sister, the younger Woods, would have been in it, but we cut it out because we didn't want to include her because that would have been weird. We had to change some dialogue so that the Abby W character is actually the one that's psychic, when in fact it's the younger one. But maybe they both are. But Kestra would also be psychic. And psychic doesn't work anyway. Nobody's really psychic. But in Star Trek, they have those. They have Betazoids and Vulcans and stuff. Yeah, true that Jessica Woods in the story is Beta Z and Bajoran. And so her daughters are half Beta Z and Bajoran. And she's well, they're Klingon too, because Curtis is Klingon. We haven't introduced him in the stories. Probably because Curtis is not interested in being in it. If at some point he goes, oh, I want to be in it. I want to be the Klingon. Have me show up as a Klingon. It'd be cool. If he does that, then show up as a Klingon. But yeah. I really confuse things. I got no other ideas for anything new. So let's just end it right here. And watch this. Watch these two movies and have fun and enjoy the 2 episodes that feature 2 characters that are leaving the show, that joined the show to leave the show. Well, Bob Duick, the Duick character, had been around for 6 years on the Fellowship, and then left the Fellowship to go back to the Vancouver. and yeah, she wanted to be in it. She wanted to be in one of my fan films. Now she is. She's in 2 of my fan films. Yeah, but on her way out. And of course, Mark Scard said, the character doesn't have to leave. Yeah, why would they come up with a good story? There's no reason the character would have to leave. It's because the real person that she's loosely based on left. I mean, it's a neat character. It's like sort of a kimchi revival. Sure. So this is on the making of the episode Star Trek Meets the Brady Bunch, the Sunshine Day, and a closing comment thing on the making of the screenplay, putting together the renders of each section. Now we've got that. We did the first, and now we're doing this one. This is a late shoot, on into about 11 o'clock at night, because after John night, and proceeded on for another 3 hours to finish, because we were so close to the end. We wanted to finish tonight's filming. And to suffice it to say, that we shot and put together. I shot and put together the scenes as filmed in the script, and there were 2.5 scenes at the end that were tacked on, that were sort of post credits. There was one where the character of Cindy and the character of Wesley get together, and they're going to go out on a date. That didn't need to be in there. I took it out. There was a character where it's not in there. It's not even. I didn't even render it. I just said this doesn't need to be in there. Yeah, because it wasn't in the script. It didn't add anything. It's just like, okay, whiny Wesley goes on a date. Great. That's not funny. It's kind of funny, but it's not. They're just being whiny. That's not that funny. Your ending, your closing is the Q-Cat guy going. He hugged the captain and left. That's the ending. That's your ending. That's the whole arc of these two movies. Their relationship is strictly platonic. It goes on. Yes, because she's married. He's not in the story, and so we have he goes down to a planet of housewives and their kids and doesn't get to score at all, but neither did Henderson. So, but yes, so there's so there's adult kids, and so there's the troupe, the gay theater troupe, led by Fred Seist, fast foodie guy. The Kirk loves Spock is made up. It's completely fictional. I'm sure there is one somewhere, but this is a fictional one. We didn't look up any other ones, so it's fictional. And some of the dialogue and ideas were a little bit of that story about Will Wheaton and William Shatner back in the 80s, but this was not written by Will Wheaton in any way. So related. No need to put his name in the credits. There was another scene where we jumped the date thing and the other thing. We jumped 7 months into the future, so that we can have one of the characters gets pregnant, not from the aliens. She's dead from her husband, and we wanted to have like a 7 months later. It turns out to be a Cillian baby, implying that Q did it. Ha ha ha. No, that was a cliffhanger thing. We're not going to do that either, because this is 2 stories. Third one, if there is a third one after the Disneyland trip, will not be concerning this story arc. It'll be something else, there's no reason to do that or suggest that the Cal Hazel character has somehow replaced her husband in the sack. That's disturbing and weird. Don't do that. It's not the captain anyway. It's the cadet lady. Don't do that. So yeah, cut that out. That's not in there anymore. It's that I didn't even render it. I just didn't use it. There was also another scene later on where they talk to an alien, and he is the wrong alien, and he was replaced with a proper alien. That's all. There's an alien. They talk to the alien avatar. It should be the guy that they met in the last scene, and not a Tuvok alien that I threw in there last minute. It should have been that weird-looking alien guy, which is different from the other alien guy from earlier, but it's clearly supposed to be a different guy. It's not Slasclick. It's some other guy. Because he is. It's some other guy. And if there's any after-show stuff, discussion or whatnot about the episode or other episodes, so there probably will be something. But But I want to put these 2 movies together, put the music and post them and put them up, and then we will discuss anything afterthoughts, but not right now. Anyway, that's all I want to say with you. That's it.